Hello, I'm Judith A. Yates, true crime author and criminologist. This is Best True Crime. Every episode, I take you on a journey to explore crime, forensics, and investigations. In this episode, we are going to LaVergne, Tennessee to examine the case of Sherokee Harriman, a teenage girl who stabbed herself on the pretext of bullying. Because of COVID, we are traveling virtually this episode. This is the story of Sherokee Rose Harriman, the dynamics of bullicide and social media. Sherokee lived with her parents, her grandparents, and her sister in LaVergne, Tennessee. LaVergne is a town about 20 miles south of Nashville, Tennessee. LaVergne's population in 2017 counted at 35,717. LaVergne's residents take home about $51,500 a year in pay, and the percentage of residents living in poverty is about 10.4%. About 50% of LaVergne's citizens are white, with blacks and Hispanics making up the most of second half. On November 7, 2000, a little blonde girl was born. Her mother named her Sherokee Rose Harriman. Later, Sherokee would change her birth date on her Facebook pages to 1999, 2000, 2001. Sherokee was a child of social media. She had numerous Facebook pages and Twitter accounts. She often would use the name Chick, a moniker given to her by her daddy, Mike Edwards. Growing up, Sherokee had her share of problems. She was sexually molested as a child. Because the family was low income and their insurance was limited in coverage, she received some mental health assistance, but only sporadically. The incident caused her to have issues typical of molested children: bedwetting, behavior issues, irrational fears, poor boundaries, and she did not like to clean herself. This in turn often caused bullying from other children. It caused social problems in school, and Sherokee was bullied with name-calling and some physical altercations. Her family reports they completed bully reports, but nothing came of their complaints. Sherokee loved her grandfather, and they were very close. She was definitely Grandpa's girl. When he died, it left a tremendous hole in her heart. Sherokee was the person who found him dead. When she was small, the family home caught fire, burning down her room and her few possessions. She would later tell therapists both the loss of her grandfather and her private space affected her deeply. As a child, Sherokee wanted the nice things that other children had, but the money in her family didn't allow. She would steal petty things such as cheap jewelry, candy, and money. When she was older, she stole a cell phone. She also began acting out with fire setting and some animal cruelty. And throughout her young life, she would challenge her parents with, "I'm going to kill myself," using it as a manipulation tool. Her family reports she was threatening this as soon as she could form the words. Sherokee was loyal to her mother and her father. She did not have many friends, but those she did have were very loyal friends. They called each other sisters. They did everything girls did. They let Sherokee fix her hair, they used new styles, and she would look on YouTube for new hairstyles and new fingernail colors, and she would use them on her friends. They giggled about boys. Sherokee and her friends made up dances and would perform them on video for YouTube, and they all listened to one another's problems. Still, Sherokee was a sweet girl, a lot of fun to hang around with, her friends say. Yes, she could be challenging, but she was also a good listener, and she would always try to help. She was boy crazy, and Sherokee was loving, and loved to sing and dance. She was good at making up dances, and Sherokee would post her dancing and singing on YouTube. Those posts still exist. She would even cut her own hair and practiced with makeup. Sometimes this caused other girls at schools to make fun of her with name-calling and jeers. Her Facebook posts varied. She would post about having a boyfriend and being so much in love. but soon afterwards she would be calling the boy's name and chastise him. She wrote that she hated her life. Then she would post how she loved her family, but soon afterwards how she was angry and life was unfair and her family was mean. She texted angry words to her mother, and then she would text, "I love you so much." She was creative. Sherokee dreamed of having her own hair and nail salon one day. She would watch a how-to hairstyle or nail painting idea on YouTube only one time, and then she could mimic it to perfection. She would jump at the chance to do her friend's hair and nails, and she would even ask her grandmother, "Gran, let me fix your hair for church." One of Cherokee's favorite places to go was a little park called Mankin Park, a 1-minute walk from her home. She liked to go there alone sometimes to think and spend quiet time. On September 5th, 2015, Sherokee went to Mankin Park. She posted her walk to social media, asking friends to meet her. No one responded. When she arrived, there were several kids sitting on park benches under a pavilion. Sherokee walked to the swing set and sat alone. Sherokee sat for a few minutes swinging on the swing set, and then she departed. As she was leaving, one of the girls at the bench called her a name. Sherokee responded, and they exchanged words until the others stopped the altercation. Sherokee left the park and walked home. She returned to the park a few minutes later, but this time she was carrying something. She shouted at the kids to gain their attention, and when they looked, she plunged a knife into her stomach. The frantic kids tried to call their parents, then used Cherokee's cell phone to call whoever answered. 2 of the kids rode their bikes to Cherokee's home to alert her grandmother. No one thought to call 911. Sherokee was taken by life flight to Nashville's Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. Monroe Carell Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt is a leader in pediatric health care. For 13 years, U.S. News and World Report has listed it as one of the best children's hospitals. So Sherokee was in the very best of hands as she was rushed into emergency surgery and into the fine care of elite surgeons. The medical staff fought in vain, but Sherokee did not make it. Her family was told she would be on life support. Loving family gathered around her bed while Sherokee Harriman was removed from life support and drifted away. Gone was the girl who loved to style hair, who loved to paint nails. Gone was the loyal friend who kept her secrets, who giggled about cute boys, who loved to sing and dance. Sherokee Harriman's spirit had left her body. Most people learned of her passing through social media, Facebook, Twitter, text, and private messaging. Cherokee's best friend Katie tried in vain to contact her very best friend via social media. At 9:21 p.m., Katie learned her best friend had died. Sherokee was an enigma. She was an old soul, but she was also just a little girl trying to fit in, trying to find her place in the world while conquering demons that some adults would fight to understand. She was 14 years old. Without investigating the incident, the media was quick to report Sherokee committed bullicide, suicide because she was being bullied. Official police reports reflect the fight was over a boy, and while there was name-calling and an argument between Sherokee and the kids who sat at the pavilion, it was not considered bullying. After an investigation, the kids at the pavilion were not held responsible for Cherokee's death. Cherokee's death was legally ruled as a suicide, and the medical bills bankrupted an already destitute family. In October 2015, Cherokee's family and friends held a balloon release in Cherokee's honor. This is the pavilion where the kids sat on the same day Sherokee died. A birthday party was held and candlelight services. Cherokee's parents became public speakers on the effects of bullying against children. A post was erected near the spot where Sherokee fell in her honor. It was continually vandalized for some time afterwards. In this photo, behind the post, you can see the swing set where Sherokee sat before she began her walk home, before she began the argument with the kids. Did Sherokee Harriman commit suicide because of bullying? Was stabbing herself an accident? Did she mean to make a display and accidentally took it too far? What matters is that Sherokee Harriman was a 14-year-old girl dealing with serious issues. Her family needed assistance to deal with her problems but was restricted due to income. The school system was unequipped because of the nature of educational structure. She turned to social media and peers to voice her problems, but children are not sophisticated. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for children and adolescents. Suicide is the third leading cause of death behind accidents and homicides for teenagers. And each year, more than 5,000 U.S. teenagers commit suicide. The American Association of Children and Adolescent Psychiatry is a 501c6 organization. The mission is to engage in health policy and advocacy activities to promote mentally healthy children, adolescents, and families, and the profession of child and adolescent psychiatry. Besides information and resources for families, you'll find specific libraries for schools, medical students and residents, primary care, and an anti-racism education resource library. It includes material on mental illnesses and suicide prevention in teens and young adults. For more information, go to www.aacap.org. You can view Cherokee's YouTube videos. Search Sherokee Harriman on youtube.com. For more information on the story of Sherokee Harriman, you can read my book. It's called Bullied to Death, a story of bullying, social media, and the suicide of Sherokee Harriman. A percentage of proceeds will benefit a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting troubled teens, and that proceeds will be made in Cherokee's name. You can purchase this book at www.truecrimebook.net. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Best True Crime. I'm Judith A. Yates, and I hope you subscribe. Be sure to visit truecrimebook.net and be safe out there.